a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is BJ.
And my name is Mitu.
And this week, we're watching The Girlfriend on Prime Video, Task on HBO, and NCIS Tony and Ziva on Paramount+.
So stay tuned to the end to find out what BJ would put together a task force for.
Oh, you really caught me off guard with that question. While I think about it, how about you tell me what happens when two former agents reunite?
You're talking about NCIS Tony and Ziva on Paramount+. In this NCIS spinoff, we follow Tony, played by Michael Weatherly, and Ziva, played by Cote de Pablo. We find them at a point where Ziva has returned from apparent death to reunite with Tony and their daughter Tali, played by Isla Guy. When Tony's company is attacked, the family travels to Europe to learn who is after them and how to trust each other again.
So, Mitu, I think it would be helpful to our listeners if we set a baseline.
Yeah.
What is our history with NCIS and the characters of Tony and Ziva?
We don't have one. So with that said, there is like a 5-minute intro to this episode that is so helpful. NCIS Hive, y'all let us know if it ran too long, like for people that are familiar, the Hive being, I think, like 80% of the U.S. population. But beyond that, for the 20% of us who are unfamiliar with this show, with our deepest apologies, that was such an effective recap. I thought it was edited and paced well. It was interesting to watch. Sometimes those can drag, and it didn't drag for me.
Yes, it did a great job of getting us caught up. We really saw all the highlights of their relationship, so you get an idea of where they're at and what feelings might still be lingering. And we should also say we did review NCIS Sydney. If this is connected in any way, that didn't land with us. So let us know.
There were jokes that I was like, man, if I watch NCIS, I might like this. Like, there's a moment where Tony and Ziva are having to navigate a difficult situation and they have to split up. And she turns to him and she says, what we're relying on is me being charmingly persuasive and you kicking ass. And he goes, ugh, yes. And I think that was a joke. Like, I think maybe she's the one that is more of a go-getter and he is more of the charmer, which I gathered from this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet, like, people hee-heed and ha-ha'd at that.
Oh, you're right. I could see how people who have the history with these characters could get more out of that moment.
What they did do very well, whether you're Hive or not, is they set good stakes.
Yes, we are introduced to this 9.4 computer, some hackers, a mysterious threat, people stealing lots of money that's going past all the firewalls.
Interpol
is involved but doesn't want to get too involved. And so we immediately see this is going to get serious. The family.
Their own baby.
Yes, the family is being threatened. So we're pulling out all the old tools, going to our old safe houses. And I think this sets up a really good starting point for the full season because it seems like whoever's behind this hacking will be our major threat.
Yeah, it was very watchable and you wanted to know what's going on, because even there are some decisions that they make where, let's say I would have chosen differently, but then again, this is just never a universe I would enter. But I'm curious to know why and how those will play out. And I loved the through line of trust. Tony and Ziva individually have been through a lot, with Tony having been the primary parent for their child, with Ziva having experienced PTSD and having the effects of that come out in front of her daughter I thought it was interesting that they've been through a lot together in missions and in life, and they don't all the way trust each other, but have to all the way trust each other in order to get through this. They know that no matter what, like, both of their number one is Tolly. So at the very least, they know that they have each other for the best possible outcome for their child. But then you see them have to trust people to care for their daughter. And I thought that was very interesting because they also know, very light, barely a spoiler, that someone deep in their inner circle somewhere has betrayed them because a bad thing happens and the person doing the bad thing just navigates Tony's office like he clocks into it every day.
Right. Someone close knows too much. And on the trust, I think they did a good job of setting up who could be some good allies. They have a nanny who at first I didn't think would be doing too much, but proves to be, let's say, more involved than I would expect a nanny to be.
Definitely different than any way I have ever been nannied or when I was a babysitter, sort of much more than one might expect.
Really setting the bar high.
Yes. I remember once when I babysat the children up the street, the mom asked me to make them dinner in addition to babysitting them.
Mm-hmm.
And at 15 years old, I just thought, well, what are we going to do now?
You hit your limit.
I was like, I don't know.
What'd you feed the kids?
She said that her children really liked to eat Kraft mac and cheese with canned tuna stirred into it.
And with that...
I'm sorry. To anyone who enjoys that, there's no judgment.
Yeah, you know people who enjoyed that.
My neighbors as a child.
So going back to NCIS, did you enjoy that enough, specifically the Tony and Ziva spinoff, to watch more episodes?
I think for NCIS, Tony and Ziva, if you are NCIS Hive, you should watch. If you are searching for a new military show, you should watch. I am not really a military procedural person, so I probably won't watch more episodes, but I think it's very good for what it is in this genre. It's very fun.
They are former military. Does that help?
Certainly.
I would watch again casually as well. I think interesting mystery. I like the dynamic and banter between our leads. And I like the side cast that they're filling out. It's not too large, not too overwhelming. And I think what I'm assuming NCIS does well is pretty straightforward, good guy, bad guy setup. And sometimes you want that in a show.
All right. Well, why don't we go from very high energy to very low energy?
You're talking about Task on HBO. A Philadelphia-based FBI agent, played by Mark Ruffalo, is put in charge of a task force to end a string of violent robberies undertaken by an unassuming family man named Robbie, played by Tom Pelphrey. So me too, you kind of alluded to the tone and the vibe of this show. What were your first impressions?
I wrote in all caps, sad.
It has a lot of heaviness. We have two leads, Tom and Robbie, these family men, these dads who are on their own with their kids, and they're struggling in different ways.
This show was created by the same person who created Mayor of Easttown. And I think some of the novelty of the accents in Mayor of Easttown, the camp of seeing Kate Winslet play such a gruff, vaping character is not here. Like, there's not the same campiness where you're watching this dark show, but also having these moments where you're going, LOL, Kate Winslet is vaping. And so with this one, it kind of felt a bit unrelentingly sad with a few moments of much, much needed humor. And I do think that a lot of that sadness really isn't in the crime for me until some really tough stuff happens, of course, toward the end of the episode. but in these dynamics with them trying to raise their kids. And I also thought it was interesting that between the FBI agent and the criminal in this future game of cat and mouse, the criminal to me seemed to have the much more good intent and a lot more just try in him.
Yeah, they really set it up where we see Robbie trying to change and wanting to do better for his kids. He actually wants to be in a relationship again. We see him trying to move past the end of his last relationship. We see him trying to rely way too much on his niece to help him raise his kids while grieving the loss of their shared relative and his brother. While Tom, he's just kind of drinking and bumbling around.
And I don't want to be judgmental in making that observation of Robbie doing crime for good and Tom drinking out of that Penguins cup, because Tom is also in incredible grief. We learn that there's this awful thing that has happened with one of his children. It is deeply affecting his relationship with his other child. And the way that he is reacting to it is by drinking and giving in to this clear desire to escape. And I thought that they had a really interesting side-by-side scene of the two of them where Robbie is having dinner with the family. It goes kind of poorly. His niece Maeve tried to cook. Everyone made fun of the meal that she made, and he wasn't necessarily the most supportive father who stepped up in that moment to cool the teasing on that disgusting looking meal that she made. And so that night, he gets ready to go out and do crimes. And while we watch him get ready to go out and do crimes, we side by side see Tom, after like a decent day of parenting and doing FBI things, fill up like a giant cup of alcohol. And so it was interesting that we watched them both like get ready to do their nighttime things, and both of the nighttime things are bad, but just the intent, let's say, behind one of them, I understood a bit more.
Right. And we should add, I think Tom is trying a lot harder when it comes to his job versus maybe with his family. He does seem motivated, at least in recruiting people. When he actually gets his task force set up, he does seem to be ready to get the team together and to start the mission. So he's not doing anything.
There was also a lot of humor with that task force. We got to have the funny moments of Robbie and his robbing crew, especially this kid, Peach Boy. And then there were very funny moments with Tom getting to know this task force, because one of them was like going through a tough divorce, which I wrote in my notes, of course, more sad, but it was played for laughs. Her email address reveal, very, very funny. And I loved seeing on his task force Aaliyah, played by Tuso Mbedu, because I think she is like our most underutilized actor. She's so talented.
And she seemed the most ready on that team.
Absolutely.
Including Tom.
The most ready to clock into work. Like there's like just such a disinterest in chatter that I identified with tremendously.
I know you did. And attention to cleanliness.
Because that was such a funny reveal that the task force house stank. And so everyone had like a comical reaction to it. Whereas she's the first person we see interact with it, and she doesn't even comment on it. She just starts wiping things down around her. And then we understand later why she's doing that. And it made it that much funnier. She didn't need to say anything. He knows the house stinks. She knows the house stinks. They know it's a stinky room. She just got to work on her own little space.
Because honestly, calling it out is not going to make the stink go away.
Who does that help?
Now we all just sitting here with those words.
And that's why Aaliyah is the most important person in the FBI.
Before we get to our rating, I do want to add, it felt long.
Ooh.
I appreciate the two perspectives, and I like that they are going to come together in a way. At the end of the episode, you see a little bit more of how they'll cross paths.
Yeah.
But it was a lot seeing these heavy, sad stories on both sides, back to back. And that's it. It was a lot.
It was over an hour.
It was.
And I think, one day BJ and I will figure out change.org and we're going to do a petition. Please, unless you can absolutely justify it to us, stop doing dramatic shows over 42 minutes. I think you and I, on the rare occasion, have seen like an hour-long episode and it was just so interesting that it was at least an enjoyable hour. I don't think I can ever confidently say we needed the full hour.
Yes. I want to say you need to be a reality show.
Yeah.
Or like game show, that category. A documentary, which we're now leaning more into movie territory.
Yes.
Or there have been some two-parters where we kind of got tricked into the second part.
Yeah.
But even then, you're still technically 42 minutes for part one.
Exactly. So change.org /the pilot pod. One day you'll see it. One day we'll figure
don't
out
go there yet.
how to start the movement. Yeah, don't go there because honestly, watch something wild be there. I don't claim that. We're pretty much just on Instagram. That's it. Okay, let's sort of stop directing people to random places on the internet and instead, Beej, would you watch Task on HBO again?
What a question.
What's your rating?
I would rate this show would watch while folding laundry. It's very long, and as Me Too mentioned, there's not a lot of humor mixed in. And so I think I'm not ready for a heavy show like this, but I'm curious about the plot. I really want to know what Robbie's future is going to be like for him and his family, and how that's going to intersect with the FBI. How do you feel?
If you're serious show hive, you might enjoy this one, though I think I would recommend Mayor of Easttown more. For me, we're in mid-September, which is practically Halloween, which then is practically Thanksgiving, which is practically Christmas.
Wow.
Which means I'm only searching for light things to watch right now. And so unless it's light or very juicy, I don't think that there is space in my heart for it. As soon as it gets chilly outside, it has to get cozy on my TV. And this is not particularly cozy. So I would not watch again. Perhaps next summer when there's another TV lull, I'll come back to it. But for right now, it's just not fitting the mood.
Ah, bookmarking it. I like that.
All right.
So how about we go from something that's too dark to something that is juicy?
You're talking about The Girlfriend on Prime Video. Based on the novel of the same name, this miniseries follows a mother, Laura, played by Robin Wright, reacting to the idea that her beloved son, Daniel, played by Laurie Davidson, has a new woman in his life in the form of his girlfriend, Cherry, played by Olivia Cooke. And Laura suspects Cherry is, to quote The Bachelor, not there for the right reasons.
So you set things up perfectly. It's really all about these three characters, the mom, Laura, the son, Daniel, and the new girlfriend, Cherry. So how about we break it down one side of the triangle at a time?
I'd like to start with the mother and son, and I'm just going to read my notes to you.
Okay.
And when I get a little bit louder, it means that they're in all caps.
Oh, okay.
Who's in the pool? Who's in the pool? The mom and the son are wrestling in the pool? Call the police right now. So that was sort of my immediate reaction to the first moments of the show, light spoiler. We are introduced so immediately to the fact that their relationship is creepy.
Now I will read you my notes from the opening scene.
Please.
Son visiting his mom, and she's too excited to see him.
That's exactly it.
She's way too happy to see her son.
And then when she's talking to her friend and they're talking about the son's love life and his sex life, and then the son saying that he spent his gap year with his mama.
The whole time.
It was just very strange. I'm somebody who, my mom is like my best friend. So I understand a close mother-child relationship.
Yes.
This is not that.
No.
This is unsettling.
This isn't friendship.
No.
This is clinginess.
It's more than clinginess because sometimes it's physically clinging.
That's the only word I feel comfortable using.
That's the only word, okay, that we'll go forward with, I guess.
Obsessive, clingy attachment.
I think exactly what you have in your notes. She's just a bit too excited to see him.
And he doesn't seem to notice.
He also doesn't notice that Cherry is a liar.
She's had a few inconsistencies.
She lied upon their first conversation, like real conversation.
And admitted
she immediately. Okay.
Later on, she said, actually, my name is Cherry.
So I see you would have been taken in by a Cherry.
No. She was a little too sus from the start.
When she was like, I don't have the keys to this house that I'm showing you because she works in a real estate agent's office. So they scaled the wall.
Red flag.
I said, okay, as soon as he scaled that wall, as soon as he entertained it, it's like, you're a goner. You were just meant to be this pawn manipulated by these two women.
And he took that place as well. He broke in and said, I'll buy it or rent it. Probably buy, because we learned, and this is important to the Cherry-Daniel relationship,
yes,
Daniel's family is very wealthy.
And Cherry is very not wealthy.
Which leads to some of the mother's questioning of Cherry's intentions.
And she was right to be questioning, because I see you're a Cherry apologist, but I'd like to call Laura into the room right now. Cherry walks into Laura's salon and she goes, oh, I love these paintings. They tell a story of blah, 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 blah. Are they from this artist? And the son immediately, like little manipulated people, they go, oh my goodness, you have such an eye for art. Laura immediately peeps the fact that the artist's name and the art that's on the wall is simply on a coffee table book in the middle of the room.
Now, I will counter and say Cherry wants to make a good first impression with the parents. So she is trying to fit in and be like, yes, I know this fancy art world.
And I think that is where the show shines. Because ultimately, this could have been capital C, corny, capital P, predictable. Could have been, dare I say, uninteresting, because it's ultimately a young woman who is, to use UK terms, like dating above her caste or her class.
Yeah.
And so she's trying to figure out how to get in good with this family. And the mom is reading that as conning, where Cherry, while she is a questionable character,
yes,
is just kind of being a tryhard.
Yes.
And Laura is not this like scary, menacing lady to Cherry. She's just suspicious of the things that she's seeing, but Cherry is kind of expanding what she's hearing or seeing from Laura. And I think that in any other portrayal of this, it could get tiring to watch because you're just like, sit down, have a conversation, hash it out. I know you often say, BJ, that is like your most frustrating trope for you, is when a plot point could be resolved with like a 45-second conversation that in any other scenario, adults likely would have just had a conversation.
Exactly.
I think these people play it so well, so juicy, so fun, that you're just kind of like giggling along at how messy this is, and or literally curling into a ball to protect yourself from how uncomfortable some of these, let's say, close scenes are. I can't remember the term we used, clingy. And so you're just so wrapped up in it because of these all-star performances, I think, that we then don't have the pitfalls that this plot might set them up for.
And I will say, I don't think the tension could be wrapped up with a quick conversation. They've already made
fair.
They've already made a lot of assumptions about each other, and so there's a lot they would have to unpack and kind of reset in order to fix things, specifically between Laura and Cherry.
That's very true.
And Daniel is not helpful.
No, but shout out to Robin Wright because she directed this first episode.
Oh.
And it can't be easy to direct yourself. And she is so good in it. And they're so good in it. And the fact that they have played these small things so big, so effectively to the point where it doesn't feel like it could necessarily be wrapped up is, I think, a testament to also how she was able to bring this story to life.
I agree. That's a cool, fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you rate The Girlfriend on Prime Video?
This is one where I'm on my couch, I have my favorite blanket going, my puppy is in my lap, we put this on, and we're ready to settle in. And I'm watching like truly half of it, if not the whole thing. And then I'll the following Sunday finish it. Because I think it's 6 episodes, so this really you could do in like a couple 3-hour sittings, just if that's sort of a normal thing in your home to sit and watch television for 3 hours, which it is in mine.
Yeah, I think this type of story is well made for a miniseries.
Yes.
I will have Me Too do labor. I will have her do those 3-hour watch sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I will have her break down the highlights, the interesting moments, like, oh, what did Cherry do? What did she lie about? What other obsessive, attached thing did Laura do or say regarding her own son? And then it's better than just reading Wikipedia summaries.
So my hours of labor watching and then figuring out what to summarize, highlight for you, you would prefer to do that than just probably read, I'm sure, what already exists, like efficient, maybe 3-paragraph summaries of what happens in this show or in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't want efficient. I don't want random internet person. I don't want AI. I want Me Too's perspective, Me Too's opinion. I want what you think is relevant and important.
What part of my brain is broken where you list all the things you don't want? And I thought, I don't want another pretty face. Who sang that song? I just want you and your beautiful soul.
I don't know.
Jesse McCartney. Oh, I almost forgot a gospel singer and his gospel song. I'm so sorry.
And this is why I need your brain to process The Girlfriend for me.
Okay. What would your task force be?
So our task force would be...
Whoa.
I think in Vancouver, we're going to do like NCIS, Americans in Canada. And we're going to do really light crimes, like someone stole a pastry from a bakery. And then we just help
them,
the
like,
baker.
What are your favorite pastries?
Yeah, we just interview people like, what do you like? Or we try and get more business by helping to advertise. Really, we're kind of like Kitchen Nightmares without the nightmare, without the crime. We just help local businesses.
Okay, I'm interested in that. Anyone who wants to get me Canadian visa, I'm on alert for that. Beej, this is the one time that you've pulled me into the hypothetical that I'm all in. And I would actually like to make it a reality. So whoever is hoping to get me across the border with some papers, let me know. Email askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. If you have a job where BJ and I could just talk about pastries in Canada, let us know.
We're ready. We're available. We also have more stuff available, more reviews, more information about ourselves on our website at thepilotpodcast.com. And you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms for our TV reviews.
Currently done in the US, open to doing them elsewhere. You can follow us on social media at The Pilot Pod. really just primarily on Instagram, not yet on change.org. And you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.